Hey players, with this guide I wanted to really briefly go over the 4 different types of fields, some general strategies that the enemies are going to be using, and some strategies to get through these really easily. So first we're going to go ahead and start with Goblin Forest. Now the reason I'm pulling these up is because each of these have different formations and different strategies that you would use for those. So I'm just going to throw on T5 so I can show you guys what the formations are. So in the Goblin Forest, we're going to be seeing a lot of the imps, the Goblin Spearmen. You're going to be seeing a lot of the shamans. Let me pull these up. We're going to be seeing a lot of the gunners. And for the bosses, we're going to be seeing the ogre. Now, the important thing to note here is that you're going to be getting a lot of physical damage in your first 2 rows from the imps. You're going to be seeing a lot of physical damage in all 3 in a vertical line from the gunners. And you're going to be seeing a little bit of AP damage, a little bit of magic damage coming from the shamans on your front line. And you're going to be seeing a lot of really big physical damage coming from the ogres on your front line. So when you're up against Goblin Forest, especially if you're planning to farm it for gear, make sure that you have a very strong defense in your front line and as much as you can get on your back line too, because the imps and the gunners will mow down your back line. AP damage is the best to use for here because you can really get those imps and gunners out of the way. You can really leave the shamans for last if you want to, however they can power up the ogre quite a bit if you leave them alone. AP damage will do less to them because they have a higher resist on their gear than normal. However, they're pretty harmless once you have them by themselves. Okay, we'll go ahead and pull up Undead Crypt. I'm not sure if I have all these open on T5 yet. Okay. So here we're going to be seeing a lot of the skeletons, the vampires, the green mummies, which are defense heavy, and finally the lich. Now, the skeletons and mummies are going to be doing physical damage to frontline. The vampires are going to be doing AP damage to the front line, and the lich is going to be doing a lot of AP damage throughout the whole thing. What's important here is, again, have a very strong defensive front line. You will be seeing some AP damage, taking some big chunks out of that, so you want to try to get the vampires down as soon as possible. And then the AP damage that's going to be coming throughout here is going to be pretty heavy. If you have a pixie that can do a party-wide resist buff, it really helps a lot and will help you tank out the lich until you can get him by himself and blast him down. I would suggest using AP damage here because the vampires and the lich really don't have a ton of resist, and it will really blast through those skeletons and mummies. And for Rebel's Keep, we're going to be seeing the Sword Lady, the Archer, the Monk, and the Champion. Now, this is a very defense heavy and attack heavy combination. The monks are going to be the only ones doing any AP damage, and it's almost negatable because they're going to be doing a lot of support casting more than anything else. Very little AP damage is going to be coming through. The archers are going to be hitting your backline, and the champion's going to be hitting your backline. So very much like the Goblin Forest, you want to have a very strong defense. You want to be blasting out as much AP as possible. So some mummies are very highly suggested of all elements. Okay, finally for Elemental Uprising. Now this is a very AP heavy group. So we have the gnomes that do a ton of AP damage. Then we have the elementalists who do a lot of AoE AP. And we have the Fire Pixie, which is very damage heavy as well, again with AP. Now with the boss, it kind of switches around a little bit because they're weak to AP and do a lot of physical damage. When they do their single target attacks, it does a ton, but when they're doing their frontline 3-prong attack, the cleave, it really doesn't do a lot, so hope that he does that more than anything. The most important part here is to have a strong defensive frontline for the Beast Rider, but in general you want to have as much resist as you possibly can because the gnomes will really tear you apart. Make sure you focus them down first and try to get to the pixies. The elementalists really aren't a huge threat, and then make sure you gun down that Beastmaster as soon as you can. So the reason that I'm going through these is because obviously you'll be farming them a lot for gear going through here. You will see them in Tower of Heroes quite a bit. You'll see here floor 109 is really Rebel's Keep. And when you jump into Adventure, you'll see all kinds of different formations, but they will be one of these. So you're either going to be facing Goblin Forest, Undead Crypt, Rebel's Keep, or Elemental Uprising, and you can really make sure to change your formation to match that as much as possible. Alright, good luck guys.